Welcome back to Ritualizing Rest for part 2 of this episode. Today we are talking more about experiences stored in the body. I'm joined today by a friend and my previous massage therapist. So sad you moved. Anise Worth. My guest today, Anise, spent her childhood in the Cayman Islands where she was homeschooled. She did her homework in her favorite tree. And I'm like, that sounds familiar. And her PE consisted of gymnastics and scuba diving. She was a competitive gymnast for 13 years and has had the privilege of competing all over the world before she went on to coach her own little gymnasts. In the world of competitive coaching, it brought recovery and wellness to her awareness in a way that she said her generation of athletes never had access to. So she was able to experience a big life change brought on by an intuitive whisper that she followed to become a massage therapist and to bring wellness to her world, her community. That led her to pursue a career in recovering with professional athletes. She worked here in San Diego where I met her. She was working and specializing in combat sports and careers, including special forces and law enforcement. So her joy is finding that all humans with bodies have stuff that they carry within. So Anise believing that experiences quite literally shape us, and this has brought her to realize and inspire her to pursue women's wellness. Anise currently owns and operates Peak Recovery based out of Durango, Colorado, where she now lives with her husband and 2 cats. I miss you. I was going to ask if you miss San Diego as this leaf blower is going by. It's probably so quiet and beautiful. Are you in the mountain right now? Am I
I
imagining it a little too
am.
crazy?
I don't know if you can see, that is the mountain behind me.
You're
I
like
am
spot on.
actually, yep, I live on top of a mountain in the middle of the wilderness. It's fantastic. My neighbors that are closest to me are hundreds and hundreds of yards away. It's wonderful.
I'm like, that, I forgot that exists.
I know, right? I walk out to have my coffee in the morning and I'm like, oh, it's quiet. It's still, it's very grounding. But I do miss the people in San Diego. I miss you and all the awesome people I got to work with out there. That was a cool opportunity.
I know, I miss you too. I haven't talked to you since you moved, so this is fun for me on multiple levels. But as I said, I met Anise here following my own path to like recovery and health. And you just played like such um you had a like great influence on my journey and played a huge role. So I'm just excited to share you with everybody and to talk about how experiences, as you said, literally shape us and how can we like move them through, which I'm sure is really something that excites you about massage, I would imagine, because you probably see a lot of healing happen and just like releases. So yeah, what's some of the things without, sharing anybody's personal stories and experiences that like really stand out to you or kind of go along with this specific picture we're painting?
Yeah. Well, to start off, the first thing that I did when I found out we were recording is reach out to a few previous clients and current and ask them for their permission to share their stories, leaving out some of the details of things. So just anything that I do share, something that I've been given specific permission to share. I think that's really important to say that anything between you and your massage therapist should be, I always say I'm legally sworn to secrecy. So that first base touch of trust is really, really important when working with somebody with our bodies, because not only are they dealing with you when you're in a very exposed and vulnerable state, but emotionally vulnerability is really important part of this process too. So one of the people that I reached out to was a female law enforcement officer that I was working with for quite some time who had this really huge impact on me. And she was coming to me in a state of duress in her industry, as she was a person who got into that career field to bring wellness to the world, to bring healing and be there for people on their very worst days, just having some of her own experiences That was something she always felt really called and inspired to be able to do, to be the hero that shows up and saves the day. And just this incredible human being met with all of this controversy around, trying to find right words for it, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of systemic stuff in our culture. And so not to ever not give that enough credit, but then to also bring to light the humans that are actually in it and experiencing it.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say is there's like a both and.
Yes.
We're not ignorant to the world and the events that have happened, and it's been very, like, the last few years have been very heated and controversial. Forgot how to talk. So with that, it's both and, you're working with.
Yeah, I just think it's always important to bring the duality of all of that to the forefront.
Amen.
We're not forgetting about a very important part of this puzzle. But then again, bringing it back to the human level. So basically, this person's experiences and how that manifested in their body, and all of the, a really, really easy concept for people to understand is we hold stress in our body. When people are like, well, I don't hold my emotions in my gut, I don't hold my trauma in my body, and they kind of demonize that aspect of it, I ask them if they have ever gotten a headache from being stressed, or if they've ever felt anxious and had a tummy ache, or ever felt sick to their stomach when something is felt inherently wrong in their space. And so just bringing that aspect of it to the body, and a field where people notoriously are not allowed to talk about their emotional experiences because that vulnerability is detrimental to their job technically, right? Like, they're the person that's supposed to show up and be the tough guy and have everything carried on their own backs, having the emotional vulnerability aspect of that and not allowing yourself to feel those experiences in your body. That the cliche of awareness is the first step of it, but having those conversations is really kind of the first step to awareness of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I would just add to that. Yeah, in that field, you have to show up strong and brave, and to run towards danger sometimes without having any or all of the information. And when you go home after that, in that career, it's a complete, like, adrenaline dump. I would imagine being in that field, experiencing the conflict of what you see and hear and people saying about you. That's really the only story that's being told. But still showing up every day to be a hero for somebody. And I know that would affect my body. So you were sharing with her, obviously she's in a state at work where she's hearing a lot of conflict on the news about herself.
Yeah, so it's not exclusive to somebody who's in that line of work. I think if you have shown up as a human, you've had somebody tell you your experience. You've had somebody share with you how you should be feeling. I was having a conversation with my own mom the other day, sharing a very vulnerable experience that I've been having. And her first reaction was to go into protective mode and, from a place of love, say, don't feel that way. You shouldn't feel that way. Everything's safe. Everything's okay. Which is ego. That's our ego talking, right? And our ego is the protector of our psyche. It's the thing that is designed to keep us safe. And then there's the subconscious, which is the space where our intuition lies. And so I think one of the biggest disservices in a culture that tells us how we're supposed to feel and experience every day, what's the word I'm looking for? Resistance. There we go. Yes. So in a culture that tells us what to experience when we experience resistance every single day,
yes,
it's really, really important to tune into that intuitive space. I've worked with, there's another person that I asked permission to share her story, but she's a mom. And when I talk about concepts of masculine and feminine, I'm talking about it in more of a Jungian concept, not saying that feminine is exclusively female, yes, or masculine is exclusively male. I tend to be somebody who is much more comfortable in my masculine. Coming from the sports background, I think that's actually kind of my superpower, is I get to bridge the gap between masculine, feminine, Western, Eastern. So this mother that I was working with was just experiencing resistance years after giving birth. And I'm not a mother personally, so I cannot speak to the experience of a mother. I like to identify as a nurturing human, but not with physical children of my own. Just her experience of pelvic floor health, which is not exclusive to mothers. It's just, especially after becoming a mother, your health is no longer taken seriously. It's like as soon as you have this child, all of a sudden you aren't important in the eyes of the medical world,
Yep.
which I'm
Exactly
sure.
true. That's
Yeah.
exactly true. Yeah. Your body, you matter so much the whole time. You're
Mm,
treated just like fucking goddess,
mm, you
with all
are, and you
the
should be.
ultrasounds and people asking you how you feel and do you need a snack and some water before we start your appointment. And then, yeah,
Right.
everything is transferred immediately to the baby. And we both need that care.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, as you know, the focus on the child doesn't last long as much as we're pro-life or whatever some people say. So yes, the woman's health suffers and we aren't really taught to prioritize it. We also don't have the capacity to prioritize it when we're
Mm-mm,
postpartum. Like, I need
mm-mm,
someone to literally make me a sandwich, please. And like, you're not able to do all of those things. So
mm-mm.
it's a complete, yeah, postpartum burnout.
We
So
don't have
she
a
wasn't feeling
village.
prioritized
Right.
and was coming to you for massage.
Yes, she had already been on this journey of coming back to herself for quite some time before I had started working with her. Like I said, her child was still really little, but was not a newborn anymore,
Mm.
and had been working with pelvic floor PTs, which I think every human should get with a pelvic floor PT. Like that is the hill I will die on, children or
Writing that down for
otherwise.
myself.
Yes, absolutely. I will say the thing that no massage therapist I ever heard say, or PT, it's really common to sneeze and pee. It's really common to jump rope and pee. It's not what your body is supposed to do. You can do that. Your
This
body can,
isn't
yeah.
supposed to be the way it is.
No, no.
Well, that's
Anyway,
good news,
little
everybody.
digression. But
We're going to learn some tips here today. I knew it.
yeah, definitely. And there's more to pelvic floor health than kegels and the little things that you'll get from, and it's about you and your wellness and your experience. And the thing that I really derived from dealing with so many moms and women going through menopause and being really generally underserved is the biggest disservice Western medicine has done for us is it has taught us to be separate from our bodies and our experiences. It's taught us to 100% rely on somebody who claims to know what they're talking about, and oftentimes they do. Oftentimes they're coming from a place of love and well-meaning. However, our health is our health. It is our body, it's our experience, and constantly referring outward. And there's a difference between getting input and being like, here, this is my experience, this is what I think is going on, compared to this is what I'm feeling, and shopping around until you find a healthcare provider that really resonates with you in whatever state of care you're at. I think that was my biggest takeaway of working with this person. She was just taught to be distant and wasn't
So how
accepted that
did
her
you,
experience.
yes, and then how did you because I want to say something about that in a minute for sure.
Mhm.
Definitely 100% true about this being separate from our bodies and to trust professionals. When she was working with you, were you able to help her like bridge that and to look inward? Was she already there? And that's why she came to you.
That's probably a good thing. Let's bring it back to this. So, one of the incredible experiences that I get to have with people, my favorite is when they have never had a massage before because I hear all the time, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was tender. I didn't know I could hold tension there. And so, part of why she came to me was stress relief, right? That's the number one thing we associate massage with is I need a moment to myself to go take a nap and just have somebody touch my body because physical touch is really important as a human species. And that's something that we can kind of get on board with this stuff.
Yeah.
And then through the actual tissue work and asking questions of what emotion is coming up here? What experience are you feeling here? What colors are you seeing here? And I'm not an Eastern medicine practitioner, but broad strokes with that kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and just
I think
like
that
getting
just that
back in
you're like,
tune.
yeah, and I love that what that makes me feel like is, yeah, you're not walking around acting like that's what you are, but
Mm-mm.
you have learned enough to like maybe incorporate or honor a piece of that in your teaching or in your work with them.
Definitely.
Um, I think I interrupted you and you were just about to say something else before I make this point.
Uh, that's okay. My brain, I'm an ADHD brained human, so
Yeah.
if it's gone, it's gone. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Okay. No, I think I'm like, maybe you were done and that's why I said it. I don't officially have ADHD. I think I
Yeah.
have mom of three brain, but maybe later I'll find out there's
I
more.
do have one little thing before we switch it up, though.
Yeah.
Just to that experience, the whole experience of being inquisitive with our bodies is bringing us back to our intuitive nature. Because we're such intuitive beings, I'm not an Eastern medicine practitioner. However, if I feel like something makes sense, it makes sense.
Yes.
If I feel like I'm seeing a color when my eyes are closed, or if I feel like you're working in my shoulder, but that makes my leg cramp. Why is that? And those two things are seemingly completely random. But in my head, if I bridge that gap and something makes sense to me, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's an
I love
intuitive
that.
process. So,
Yes, yes. And I think that's just adding that intuitive approach for sure.
mhm,
That's one way that it happens. I love that. Um,
mhm,
something that you had just said, I want to just touch on one more time, is that we are taught, and especially as people who are raised as women in this world,
mm,
for many hundreds of years now, we have been taught not just to be separate from our bodies, as you said, and you said supposed to trust the professional. Like this,
mhm.
I can see how this can go on for like generations with my own family as well. And obviously, you know, more than I know, I wasn't like, I can see just with my grandparents and from the ancestors that I've met and the women, yes, we're taught to like give away any kind of power. Power being intuition, power being knowing that like there is something out of alignment. I saw so much with my grandparents, this this attitude of like trust the professional, and I see it with my, you know, I'm actually not going to say it. I see it with the older folks in my life. There's this attitude amongst the elders that we just need to, and it's not just them, but that's so ingrained in our beliefs. And so for me, that was a huge part of, I feel like my experience when there's been healing is to break away from that. And like you said, to remember and to tune in and to like, to listen to our body. I think it's interesting too how I had this attitude about massage at first. I was one of those people who, like, my first massage was, I think, a couples massage, you know, like it was such a
Yeah.
special thing.
Yep.
And so going to you was not my first massage, but it was like, might as well have been like maybe you were my second. But I remember it was just felt like such a luxury and like a treat, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna get a massage. And it's like, it's considered a self-care situation, like a bubble bath, right? But I realized how going and getting massaged and the sessions that we did just allowed me to realize like this is essential care. Like for me in my life right now, that's how I felt. Like this massage is essential care, and just one massage a year or whatever isn't going to cut it. So to have the privilege to go visit you every few weeks, um, it was amazing to experience the change in like my whole body and like everything. It's not just the body, like your whole world changes when you start to give your body this this massage, this body work, and you start to move through things.
Thank you for sharing that experience with me. That is why I do what I do. So, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're so good at it.
Thank you. My ego loved that, but the intuitive being in me really just, like I said, I want to bring the village approach back to how we take care of our bodies. You brought up such a good point with, the generational stuff and the people that come before us and just how we learn, right? And I don't really blame the generations. Like, I'm so grateful for the generations of women that came before me. They have done incredible work to make my life so much better and to make
Mm,
my intuition so much stronger. And in some ways, they really, really strengthened. In some ways, they didn't. But the things that they didn't, I don't hold blame for, especially when it comes to that mentality of we just trust. Because if you think about it, when we lived in smaller groups and we had more awareness of our community, and it wasn't a capitalistic nature of let's
yeah.
just make as much money off of people as we possibly can.
Hmm.
It was, we have these healers and these medicine people that work with their intuition, and so we can trust them. Because oftentimes, a biggest thing that I hear with people that are learning to trust their intuition is this my intuition or is this my fear?
Mm,
Is this my
hmm.
intuition? How do I know that it's my intuition talking to me and not just my anxieties and my fears and my ego? And so we had wise people in the feminine archetype. We had the wise woman of the tribe that we would go to and we would trust with our intuitive
Yeah.
nature. And so I don't really blame them, because up until very, very recently in human existence, that's the way that we did things. And it's time to just kind of get back to that, because intuitively we do know who we can trust. It just doesn't mean trust any single human that tells you
Yes.
they're a professional and is trying to sell
Hmm.
you snake oil. It means lead with your intuition first, which is a tool we have to practice.
Yeah, and to learn how to practice it. I mean,
Hmm.
just by, starting to listen to your body. And if you are
Hmm.
in a situation where you can afford or have opportunity to get massaged,
Hmm.
that is a great way to experience that and to like start to lean into that trusting of the body.
Hmm.
Because yes, it's an awareness. We want to trust our body. Everything you said is true, like with how things have been in the past, how they are now, maybe how it got this way. And we want to have that trust. But like, how do we do that?
Mm.
What's the answer? There's lots of answers.
Right.
It's a practice, first of all.
Tell me if you figure
And
out the perfect way. I'd love to
there's no
know.
perfect way. I just think there's so many ways, and then we can just pick
Mhm.
the things that we need right now. Like I really needed massage right then when I was working with you.
Mhm.
And at that time, massage was my tool, and like other times it's been mainly yoga. Other times it's been, mainly like dancing to music or whatever. We've already stated that we believe everyone can benefit from massage and,
Mhm.
therapeutic massage and body work. Um, and also like that it could be considered, I don't know why I'm saying could be, it is essential care. As of being someone who was able to experience it, I can say I think it's essential healthcare.
Mhm.
So we know everyone can benefit, but when we talk specifically about like survivors of, patriarchal harm and abuse, maybe for the women like we've been talking about who we've been taught to be separate from our bodies and to
Mhm.
cut off parts of our bodies, maybe because we are in that, first responder career saving lives as law enforcement, maybe we have to cut off parts of that during the day. Is there just something that you feel that group of people, maybe just even knowing that this exists as a tool at all for someone who's experienced that, maybe that's the first step.
Absolutely.
I'm just talking in
Yeah.
circles.
That's okay. It's tough because there's no direct line with this stuff. Like my mind is going a billion different ways. Every word that you said, I was like, that topic, that topic. Like there
Right.
is so much to this. If we had 4 hours today, maybe we would scratch the surface. Um,
I know.
so first, I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit, but bear with me. I promise it'll all
Love
come
it.
back together.
Love it.
First, I love that you have kind of pointed out that like we have had the privilege to have this kind of work in our lives. Not everyone has access to the price point that massage therapy offers. Like I'm not going to BS that. It is something that is still considered a luxury because it is at a price point that most of our country either doesn't value, that our insurance system definitely doesn't value because it'll actually make you better. That's a different rant for a different day.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Part 3. Episode part
Seriously,
3.
we'll just do like a once monthly thing.
We're gonna make a freaking mini series.
I love it. I'll start my own and we'll rant about this on my own and then
Yeah.
you
So definitely true.
um
Like you can't really get much support or assistance from insurance. And a lot of
yes,
people, if they don't know that it's not a luxury.
right. We haven't really valued it as a part of our wellness because our system doesn't treat the cause. It doesn't find the root. It treats the symptoms. It puts band-aids on things.
Yeah,
Mind you, if I break a leg or have a heart attack, I'm going to the ER. It
for
has
sure.
its place, and that's kind of where I'm like I have this pull of balancing Eastern and Western ideologies and putting them together because they have this beautiful balance. The same that masculine, feminine energies have
Yeah.
this balance. And then I bring it back to feminine is not specific to female.
Yeah.
It's all humans,
Yes.
right? I've worked with law enforcement and special forces that have been so, they've come to me because I'm in a line of more therapeutic massage and they've experienced PT and that stuff through their work. And so they can kind of see the connection there. And then we build the relationship from there. but they're humans that experience all of the emotional stuff too. They're in that line of work from a place of, at least again in my experience, they're in that line of work because it's a place of love. It comes from a place of love
And
within them that they want to
service.
help people in service. Yeah. And they have experiences out in the world too that affect their bodies too. Even the manliest of men that have done the most badass, hardcore, manly things still have emotions and feelings and feel little things in their little child within them. And so it's not just exclusive to these huge traumas, it's all encompassing, right? Like if we have a body that has experiences, the definition of trauma at its core is a loss of power, right? So when somebody has an experience where they lose power against their consent, against their will, it's not it's universal. It's not specific to one main group of trauma. And so I think first realizing that life is fucking traumatic. I'm sorry, pardon my French, blur me out, but it's traumatic.
Oh,
We all
this
have
show's
it.
listed as explicit. Go ahead.
Cool, perfect. It's traumatic. I have religious trauma in my background. I have just being a woman in a patriarchal world, and it's not just like exclusive. We have all of this experience. And so, yes, realizing that we can do something about it and taking that power back into our own hands is step number one. Step number two is using your intuition to find you the right person. Step number three, if you don't have access to the financial ability that massage allows, like most of my clients, I would love it if they would work with me at least once a month. Life happens, finances get in the way. I try to work one-on-one with people on an individual level of, if this is not within your price point, how can I work with you? And then I'm actually working in the background to set up a nonprofit sector to work with the underprivileged people in my area, which I live in Indigenous land. There's a lot of Indigenous culture around here that's really underserved. And so how can I give back to that community and have a nonprofit sector so that my finances actually lead into helping people who can't
Mm,
afford it? And
mm.
so I think that it's just like a systemic thing where we have to actually do something different. A lot of massage, try that again. There are insurance out there. There is insurance, words are hard, out there that will cover massage. So check with your insurance and see if it's something that's covered. It is the oldest form of healthcare. We have evidence of
Yeah.
primitive humans having that kind of work done on their body. So
Mm.
it works. Go
Yeah, I
ask,
think what you were
go
saying
explore.
about step three. Oh, yeah. For step three, I feel like looking into your insurance and everything, ask. If we
Mm-hmm.
all start asking,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying something will happen, but if we all start calling and being like, hey, I need this covered. How are we going to get this covered? What plan does have it
Mm-hmm.
covered? Maybe at first there won't be anywhere we get, but let's definitely all start asking. I love that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're looking into this nonprofit. I love that. Um, yes, this is definitely work that I really, I mean, I'm not even a massage therapist. I'm like, I wish it was accessible for all of us. And I just can see and feel from you that you know how powerful this is, and you obviously want to share it with as many people as possible. Something you reminded me of as well when you were talking about how everybody, I think we go through our day and we collect all of this, stress and all of these things. It doesn't have to be a big trauma. It is stressful to just exist. It's stressful to drive in San Diego on the freeway. It's stressful to do school drop off and pick up. Like, it's a stressful world just going to the grocery store. Like, I could name a lot of things that are just things we're supposed to do that have, depending on your background and your, experience, like, can stress you out more than others. When I was getting massaged by you, and like I said, I had that time frame where I was privileged to be able to like budget it in, and it was a planned thing that luckily my husband and I were able to see, that we valued it and that we needed it, and we were able at that time to budget it in. And so for going that length of time, and like I have already said, I could feel everything just so much, just such improvements in my whole body. When your body feels good, like, everything's great, guys. And if it's not great, you'll probably have the energy to face it a little better. Um, I remember you had shared with me during one of our sessions some stuff I could do at home, like in between the weeks that I wasn't seeing you with foam rolling. And you're like, here, look at this foam roller. And you like showed me this stuff. And I remember I had just been massaged. So I'm like really relaxed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks so hard. What? And then I got home and I forgot everything. I'm like, I don't even remember what she told me to do with the foam roller. She said something about the wall, but you also showed me on the floor. So, anyways, there was a time where, like, a few times I tried to use the foam roller, like a few, like maybe 3, not a lot since, I've seen you and it's been a minute.
Thank you for being
And every
honest.
time I was like, oh, it hurts. I hate the foam roller. Well, since you've moved, since you've been gone, I have brought the foam roller out and I literally do it almost every day because I've got so spoiled getting massaged frequently that my body now is like, what are you doing? Like, I can just feel and so I have
Mhm.
practiced enough where now I think I'm a foam rolling professional. And I was just
Ayy.
going to check in with you and be like, I think I'm doing it right. But for anybody who doesn't have a foam roller, I would buy one. This is just something you can do at home if you can't afford to get massaged all the time or at
Mhm.
all. I'm passing along this tip from Anise. I just lay on the floor and like I foam roll my whole body. I do my stomach now. I'm
Perfect.
like doing my calves, which I'm
Perfect.
like, this doesn't feel the best on my bones, but it's
Ooh.
like, okay, whatever. I'm just doing everything. Anyways, after I foam roll, it's an undeniable, it's an undeniable shift. Um, it just, it's crazy. So, anyways, it's really powerful. And I learned that from you. And I wanted to share that today and just invite people to like, maybe you already know how to foam roll, but like I've been doing it every day. And it's just moving that stuff through. Just,
We're such movement-based creatures. I heard it um, related to like a zebra after it's been chased by a lion. It has this extremely stressful incident that happens and it's in its body, and they literally shake it out. They
yep.
literally shake it out of their body because movement physically releases the stuff.
Yeah.
And I love that you bring foam rolling up into it. I'm going to take it a step further than that. My mantra, I need a t-shirt that says it, is anything is a foam roller if you just believe.
Yay. Oh my God. Please
I'm
make a
sitting,
t-shirt.
yes, I'm sitting next to a wall. Okay, there's a corner of this wall, and I have chronic shoulder stuff from gymnastics. I will literally shove my armpit into the wall and roll out my arm on the
Hey.
freaking wall.
Yes.
I will find a chair that hits me in the good spot. You know those like high school chairs that just hit like perfectly and you just like and get the best pop? Use the
Yay.
stuff
I
in
love
your
that.
environment. Go
I
find
love
a
that.
lacrosse ball or a tennis ball or a water bottle. I'll use my water bottle to roll out all the time. Like, you don't have to go buy all of the tools. You can if you want to and if
Yeah.
it's going to help you stay consistent. But our bodies depend on consistency and movement. So just move. Just do
Yes.
it.
Just get it out. Yeah, I know. It feels so good. I wanted to just mention a few other things here. While we're talking about foam rolling, yeah, I'm glad I had one because I never would have went and bought one. But my husband, we already had a foam roller. I don't know why I never used it before. So we already had one. I never would have ended up going out and buying one. But another technique, I will call it, I don't know, that I learned from you during massage was, and I do this on my kids all the time now, including after they get their vaccines, is this, what is it, pumping the adrenals? What am
Oh,
I,
yeah, lymphatic drainage.
lymphatic drain? See, I don't know what I'm talking about. Tell me,
That's
what is this
okay.
called?
Yeah.
And then like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So again, like all of this stuff is really intuitive. The idea of our lymphatic system is it's our body's drainage system. So it's kind of a silly system, but an incredible system all at the same time. Again, like think about primitive humans. They moved so much more than we do. We're very, very stagnant in our daily lives,
Oh yeah.
which is not a bad thing. It means that life is really comfortable and safe, which is great. Um, but our
But since
lymphatic
we're not climbing
system,
trees daily.
right? Yes, not anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Since our lymphatic system technically does not have its own pump, the way that like our heart has a pump and circulates our heart is a pump and circulates our blood through our system, our lymphatic system moves based off of movement. So by applying even the lightest amount of pressure, like there's zero indent into my actual tissue, our lymphatic system is just below the skin. I am not a lymphatic specialist. I'm going to throw that out there right now. There are people that study this stuff and know the exact techniques and specific directions. The idea is first you want to pull and then you want to push. You have lymph
Okay.
nodes basically, and there are honestly great YouTube videos out there that can show you specifics. If you're like lymphatic drainage for my ankle, it'll show you specific steps to take.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, basically the concept is just move towards your lymph nodes. You have lymph nodes here. You usually get swollen there when you're sick. You have them in your armpits and your hip creases and behind your knees. Like you have lymph nodes all around your body. So just moving stuff with light pressure is going to do wonders. And that's going
Yep.
to help calm our nervous system all at the same time.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I love it because, like I said, with the vaccine, you can get a little tenderness, and
Mm-hmm.
just able to like move it through has been a great reminder
Mm-hmm.
for me. I feel like the kids are able to, still a sensitive time after getting a vaccine, but they're able to like move on
Mm-hmm.
a little quicker. So it's something that I remembered a little bit. You explained it great. Thank you. Now I'm gonna remember it perfectly. But that
Now
has
you can
been
reference
something.
back.
Yeah, like these are just little things that I learned from you that obviously at that
Mm-hmm.
time I think intuitively you knew I needed that. And it's just, I just want to share with you that I've been practicing them. And, yeah, I just think it's great too to like bring them out when there's a specific situation and I can remember, like, oh, so like what we said earlier, imagine if you just had a toolkit and like there's different tools in there. Like there's massage, there's foam rolling, there's yoga, there's breath work. The more we practice tuning into our bodies, the more we're going to be guided towards a specific technique at that time.
We have so much access to information these days. Go on YouTube, go on Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're on. I say it like a freaking boomer. Go
That's
and
funny.
find information that resonates with you because, again, your intuition will tell you what you need. And if you feel like you're sticky in your back and you don't know where specifically in your back, go look up self back release on YouTube. Like, go
Yeah.
find something you can do yourself. You don't have to go spend money to go get on somebody's table. I highly encourage it because the interactive element of working with another human, but utilize your partner at home, utilize your kids, have them walk on your back. We used to walk on my dad's back all the time as little kids.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yes.
have so much tool or so many tools at your disposal. You just
Yes.
have to actually like look into it and go forward with it and realize that it is a priority and that working preventatively to take care of yourself is going to help so much more in the long run.
Oh yes. I think once you make it a priority, like things will line up. You'll hear something like someone talking or something on the radio, and it's like everything that you could need is going to come to you. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
believe. So,
It's true.
yes, I wanted to. Gosh, I had all these notes, and I'm like, these are doing me no good. Um, we've already talked about all this.
Love when that happens.
We've accomplished this. There was, I guess, I feel like I've been talking about my own experience too much, though, so I don't know.
That's beautiful. I think that's the most important. It's
I just
really
want to be
tricky
okay.
because on the massage table, it's like, don't talk about yourself. But I feel like people don't learn from your experiences if you don't share them.
Yeah,
And the
true.
best thing that we can do is share our experiences. Like, we need to talk about our experiences more
Okay.
because,
Yeah.
again, as long as it comes from a place of love and wanting to help people, but this is what we're here for. It's the whole point of community.
Yeah. No, true. Okay. Yeah, because I have a few like that stick out in my mind when I was getting massaged by you,
I'd
where I
love
was
to
like,
hear them.
I've probably already told you these, but they're still my favorite. So something that I never knew existed was like belly massage. What did you call it though? Was there
Mm.
like a different name or just belly massage?
Belly massage,
Yeah.
abdominal massage, tummy massage.
Yeah, so on your
Doesn't
massage
matter.
table, it still happens to me sometimes. So I know like I know I need another massage. But at that time there was like a lot of stuff and sensation going on with my low back, my sides, and obviously my belly. And I don't remember the specifics, but I know my belly was like on my mind. Like my belly was
Mm.
talking to me. So I don't even remember what I said to you, but it has just been like perfect timing. And you were like, oh, there's this technique. And I had been working with you long enough, so I was comfortable with it. Because
Hmm.
it's so funny now that I'm saying this. I hate people touching my belly. Like, do you have a problem with that? I do. If someone touches my belly, I'm like, get the fuck.
It's really common. So, my little fun fact of the day,
Yes.
being ticklish is a panic response. Our central nervous system does not understand the difference between fear and anxiety.
Mm,
And so, those areas that are really vulnerable, like our belly, again, we're animals, we're vulnerable. We've got all of our stuff here that's unprotected, except for by a thin little sheet of tissue,
yeah.
is super vulnerable. So,
Yeah.
of course, you don't like your belly touched.
Yeah, even when it's not in a tickling way. If someone just put their
Hmm.
hand, I'd be like, oh, it's so funny. Anyway, I think I've let some
Violating.
of that go. There's still a little
Oh,
more probably. But
protect yourself where it's
had
safe.
yeah, I had the belly massage with you and it was just like the freaking most amazing experience. Like it was weird because like obviously it's my belly, but just having that area like I know that that area carries tension and like that's I think what was the going on is there was just lots of tension in my belly and everything else. Um I felt so great afterwards. I'm interested in getting another one here in San Diego. Looking for belly masseuse, but
Massage therapist.
yeah, yes, massage therapist. There is
Thank
a
you.
difference between a masseuse and a massage therapist.
In the world where we are trying to establish ourselves with validity, it's an important
Yeah.
difference. Do I actually care? No. But a massage therapist is someone who is licensed, trained. I've done thousands of hours of training. I've worked with other professionals. Masseuse is somebody who does not have to have a license. So if you're looking for somebody who is going to work in a more therapeutic approach, I would look for a massage therapist. The other thing with a masseuse is they're typically associated with sex work. So again, sex work is work, you do you, but that is just a really big differentiation that we try to make because we want to show up as medical professionals in this world.
Oh, for
So
sure. That
yeah,
makes
you
complete
can cut that
sense.
if you want to, but that's just the like brief difference between two of them.
Yeah, no, I'm like, oh, I should have highlighted that in the beginning.
Can we continue to talk about your belly for just a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Are you okay if I share a little bit of the experience that
Oh,
I
yeah.
had with that with you?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Um,
I'm surprised you
cool.
remember. Like,
Oh, I have ADHD. This brain is a weird place. It remembers the most random things, but I cannot tell you where my car keys are right now.
oh, yes.
No
Okay, yeah.
idea. Yeah. Um, so, but this one really stuck out to me too because I don't work with belly very often, just because in the line of sports world, I guess that's not true. Let's take it back a little bit. So you have a muscle called your psoas. In the Western world, your psoas is a hip flexor muscle. It attaches in the front of your hip and then it goes transverse into your spine. And so it has a lot to do with low back tension. And so when you're having low back tension, that's often a muscle that will work
Hmm.
because it usually is overactive compared to your low back or some of your glute muscles. Anyway, that whole kinetic chain kind of works together in that sense of things. But if you get into the Eastern sense of things, our belly is our intuitive epicenter. It's where we have to like basically neural connections. And there's a lot of Western science that backs this right now. But we basically have a second brain in our gut. And so I remember that day specifically because there was a lot of just like anxiety and life stuff.
Hmm.
And it just was like almost crippling to where you were carrying it. And it was this intuitive thought to like, let's move that stuff. There's no need for that to be stagnant in the belly space. Like let's get that moving a little bit.
Oh my
And then I
God,
remember the
yeah.
trickle down of the next few sessions after that and just like breakthroughs that we both were having on the table after that and just
Yeah.
like the conversation and the stuff that freed in your body in order for you to realize, the depth of where it was coming from.
Oh, yeah.
Whole experience.
It
So that's
was.
cool.
I love that you remembered. And yeah, it's crazy because in hindsight too, it's like even at first I was like, I don't know what was going on at that time, but I'm like, no, that was old stuff. Probably new as well, but that was some old stuff. That was all the tickling I had done to me as a child that was unsolicited. I don't tickle my own children, and I fucking hate getting tickled.
No one likes
I
it.
remember telling you when I went on the massage table, I was like, I'm realizing that some of the, or a lot of this tension in specific areas of my body, which affects me highly, like deeply. I'm deeply affected physically every day because of the tickling that happened to me as a kid. And I know where it is. And like, I remember on the massage table, we had talked about that before. But I also know in my first marriage with the abuse that went on there, a lot of it had to do with control. And the epicenter of, you said, was like, oh yeah. And at that time when I was with him, I was getting Reiki done, and I was seeing a Chinese woman and getting traditional Chinese medicine like acupuncture from her while I was in this abusive marriage. And every time I went to these sessions, it was like my belly. And they both separately asked me if I was in an abusive relationship. And of course, at that time, I didn't even really know if I was. But anyways, that stuff was all in my belly. And I know when I saw you on the massage table, yeah, I'm sure there was just layers upon layers of stuff from my whole life. This whole body's been carrying with it, you know. And I remember you told me that you don't usually, or you don't often have that opportunity. And you explained to me the Eastern medicine side of it. And I just was like amazed. And it helped me so much. So yeah, don't tickle your kids.
Just listen to people when they say no and stop. You know, it's
Yeah.
like consent's important or something.
For
No,
some
but that's
reason, that
such a
doesn't matter during
huge
tickle time.
aspect.
Sorry.
Well, it just doesn't matter with children anyway, right? Like they don't
Yeah,
have opinions.
you're right.
Oh, how dumb. It's okay. Don't
Anyways.
be rude. Anyway, oh, it's fine.
We're mad, but whatever.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm sure that stuff is still coming up.
Oh yeah,
Like
I'm like
it's not
squeezing my
like,
belly right now. Like,
yeah,
come
I'm holding
on,
mine. Like,
get out.
yeah. Like, thank you for sharing that so much because I don't even know if we really got to that depth of it that day. I just
Oh
know that
no,
there was,
because we only had our 1 hour, and then I had to go home.
I always wish I had more time. I'm like, I should only offer 2-hour sessions.
Well,
that's what I have to do.
Do it. I moved up to the 1.5 hour with you, but that was like towards the end, and I was like, why didn't I do this all along?
I will say too, sorry,
No,
if
go
you
ahead.
are looking for abdominal massage in the future, if you find a practitioner that you trust, and please let me know if you're looking for somebody because I do have people in the area that I can make recommendations for. Because I think it's really important. I'm not the only massage therapist out there that can. I might be one of the. No, I'm just kidding.
You might be my
no,
favorite, but
but there's other people that have so much to offer that will see things that I never will. That
yeah,
just their brains work and they see things from a different angle that could bring so much power to you and your body in a different way. So continue that work, girl. Continue that work.
I will.
But just know I'm not the only one trained in abdominal massage. There are other massage therapists who that's their entire specialty, or they can dabble with it. If it's somebody that you trust, ask.
Yeah, I'm going to. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one other story that I wanted to share. One other massage table story, if that's okay.
I love this. Yes.
Yeah, this one was another one where I was like, wow, that was crazy. So the belly, obviously, I will remember that forever. I never, yeah. And then this one, which might have been, maybe you'll remember, because I don't remember if this was before or after the belly, but you had did some technique to me where you like pulled the sides of the ribs a little bit, like you were massaging into, and I think you did both sides. But anyways, what had happened, and I can't wait to hear your take on this because apparently your ADHD brain remembers. But
totally
I think it was
like other story. I was like, I know.
I'm like, you should just tell it because I forgot. Was it the left side? One of my sides. I think it was the left because I think I told you it's always the left. Anyways, my lungs, basically, after you did what you did, I was like breathing in way deeper. I already thought, I'm like, I'm really good at breathing in deep because I've been practicing for years. But I had also told you, I think, that I felt a cutoff. Remember, I was like, even though I have trained, I'm remembering as I talk, even though I have trained and I thought I knew how to breathe deeply, I could actually feel this like constriction on this side where it was like, I had told you, my lung wants to expand, but like I feel like it can't. Like there's like it can't expand. Go ahead, take it from here.
Like,
and what happened to me?
Here's the floor. Totally. If ever I overshare anything, let me know and we'll start.
I'm such a dork. I'm embarrassed. Go on.
You're so funny. Oh my gosh. And the floor is yours. So, yes, I think I'm going to touch on the Hippocratic method very, very briefly. When Hippocrates in the world of science was making things replicable, making things replicable, they basically sat down and said, we have to take the esoteric and the things that we can't replicate, the human experience, out of science. And so that's where our medicine has come from. And so for so long, we have looked at our muscles as, like, I've worked with PTs for forever, like the nerdiest sports PTs that see very linear. It's, well, if this muscle isn't functioning this way, it must mean that this thing is doing this thing. And we forget to add the esoteric element into it and the
Yeah.
experience into it. And I think that was a really big aha moment that I had during that session. When I was in school, I did an internship with a practitioner that practiced under a person named Paul Chek, who his whole ideology is that everything stress and trauma starts in our lungs. We have asymmetrical lobes to our lungs. We breathe differently into one side as we do the other. And we have rib flare. Like if you feel your ribs right now, I guarantee your left rib flares out more than your right. It's slight, but it's there. And that's every single human I've ever worked on, dominant side, non-dominant side. The only person that it wasn't that way was somebody who was born with their organs reversed, which is wild. I know, which is a thing that can happen apparently. And so when we were working with that, it was this, like, I remember it having this texture to me that just felt sludgy and black and
Remembering now why it
like
was
an
happening.
oil slick. Yeah, and I just, like, I don't do colors very often. That's not something that I really resonate with. I know people do, but when I have an experience where I'm working with something and I'm like, there is something oily here. Yeah, and even now you're like, oh, yep, I remember.
I'm like, oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah. And so what we did was we took this practice, this technique that I learned when in my internship, and we literally just compressed your lungs and had you expand your lungs into your rib cage. And then we gently just released the tension that your intercostal muscles, or the muscles in between your rib cage, we just gently released and kind of stripped away some of the scar tissue and the buildup of the stuff in there as we got through the emotional stuff. And so that's like the Eastern and Western, the emotional and the physical, we're a cohesive unit. And so we worked all angles of that in terms of, and I'm not a therapist. I'm not going to push and ask questions that are not mine to ask. But when you feel like sharing something, and I remember that session was so impactful
Mhm.
because it was just like, I'm having this realization. And in that, we were breathing into this space of basically just reteaching your body that it's safe to breathe here, that you can expand here. Does that sound like
It was
accurate
so
to your
powerful. It's like
experience?
making me laugh because I'm just like, oh my God. Oh yeah, it was so, yes, great job explaining that. I actually remember now, there was some other factors going on that I think had exacerbated whatever issues I already had. And they had to do with some like being like backstabbing type feelings from another woman. And it wouldn't leave my body. And I actually, as I'm talking now, I remember the moment it like entered my body from this person. Like physically, they had touched me. I won't get into any other details than that, but like I remember when I had the physical sensation of something lodged, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Well, maybe I had a bad adjustment or something, and maybe like I need to stretch. And it wouldn't leave me for months, I think 8 to 9 months. And I told you it hurt when I, not only did I feel like I was constricted, but there was like pain, like a sensation. And I remember I was like, it feels like there is like a knife or something sharp. And when I try to breathe in deep, it's like touching the tip of it. And then you had that oily blackness. And when you described the oily blackness and it was like coming out and oozing out, and it reminded me of that movie Fern Gully, I felt like this, whatever, it was probably unintentional from this woman, and it felt like resentments and jealousies, and I'm sure it was like unintentionally lodged in my body, but I felt like it was just being pulled out or like sucked out or whatever when you were working on me. And then after that, I felt immediate relief, and I checked with myself the next day. I remember I was like, gotta check that it just didn't feel good at the massage. And there was still sensation in that I could feel, imagine if you had a thorn and when you took it out, you feel better, but you know it was still tender And that's what it felt like the next day. And then by the end of the week, I mean, I remember like writing in my journal because I was like, well, that was profound. Like something happened. I've been going, like, I was thinking like I need to go get my lungs like scanned by a medical professional because I do believe in modern medicine and everything like that. I was starting to get to the point where I was just like, something is just stuck with me. And after that, it completely cleared up. So it was powerful. It was so powerful.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that experience. That was a really impactful one.
I'm glad we
Can
got to
I?
talk about it because we never got to talk that long on the table. But yes, what? Ask
Yeah.
what?
So, couple things. One, I want to preface that you brought up, you were this close to going and getting it checked out. A massage therapist's scope of practice is really important. If it's something that I think is something I can't help with and it's medically concerning, I will refer you
Yes.
100% of the time. I refer people to chiropractors, to PTs, to orthos. I am not the person that is going to fix all of the things for you.
Yeah.
We'll try the things and I will base it off of my experiences and things that feel called with my intuition. But there is a point that is really important that if you are working with a massage therapist and they tell you they can fix your cancer, they can't.
Yeah.
They can't. That's not in our scope. Okay.
Keep
Anyway,
looking.
so that's important to say.
Yes,
But then
it
I
is
just want to ask
important
a
to
little
say.
bit. Yeah.
That exists.
I want to ask about your continued experience. And I don't need you to get into detail necessarily, but just this stuff sometimes happens as this one light bulb session and it's incredible and we notice a significant difference. And sometimes we kind of have to chisel away with this stuff. Sometimes it never ends. Sometimes it's continued. Honestly, more often than not, it's continued work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you still find yourself experiencing some of that stuff every once in a while with a new awareness to it? Or do you feel like it's at a point where you're like, doesn't bother me anymore?
Just real quick, the awareness of like the pain in the back or the situation that happened with that or what? Sorry.
So I guess I can clarify. The situation and the awareness of the situation is probably something that never really leaves us. We learn from
Okay.
those things on purpose. They stay with us for on purpose. I'm not going to speak to your experience. I think I'm asking more when you have recollection of that experience.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Do you still get the thing?
Okay, I know what
Or
you're
do you
saying.
feel like the thing is kind of waned over time? Do you feel like it's more intense sometimes? Like, can you just share your continued experience so that people kind of understand what going through something like this is like?
Yeah, I hope I can, but I think I can.
It's okay. And if
Thank you
that's
for
too personal,
rephrasing
I
it. No,
totally
not
get
at all.
it.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is the right answer or like I'm to the right question. I feel confused, but I don't know. I feel confused how to find the words. When we were talking right now and I was remembering, so like I
Mm-hmm.
say the body remembers. So I was remembering and you saw me kind of moving. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel anything like what I had felt before. I was definitely aware of that part of my body. And so I was remembering how it felt before, but like just moving anyways. And I'm so glad that this just popped back into my head. I'm moving anyways, probably not even thinking about it. But because we're talking about it and I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. And it's like almost like I'm reminding myself, like, okay, I can move. It's gone. It's gone. It doesn't hurt anymore. It's reminding me of what you said about shaking it out. Zoo animals and humans are the only animals who don't shake it out, like you were talking about, that zebra. So obviously, zoo animals, they have forgotten, and we humans have forgotten. So I feel like every time I gain new awareness, I keep it with me. So now when I remember something like we've talked about, I'm going to do that because I just want to like make sure it's gone. And sometimes I still will feel something maybe that is still residually there. Um, I think that probably in my back and shoulders, there's stuff I'm carrying with me. And I think it's also what encourages me to keep foam rolling is because I just automatically, and this has been a practice. And so that's why I think the more that you set these intentions and the more that you, hold on, baby, the more that you practice these things, you evolve. So now I have evolved to where I'm like more in tune. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to move. And if I feel like a pinch, I'm probably going to like, if I can't do something, I'll go foam roll or take deep breaths, whatever. whatever is in my toolbox that I'm like, that thing right there, that tennis ball in my toolbox, you know? I don't know if that was actually to the same question, but like, yeah, let me let my daughter in. Come in, honey.
Sure. Yeah.
You did a lot of yoga. Oh, you did a lot of yoga? Thank you for telling me. Okay, if you want to be in here, you can, but you just can't talk. I'm going to be on for just a few more minutes. I'm just going to wrap this up. Okay?
I was just going to thank you for sharing that experience, because I feel so often with expectations around how we heal from things, the Western mindset is that we have a quick fix solution and things are done and we never have to worry about them again. And that's just not true to the human experience. And so I think it's really important that we share our experiences of continued healing, because it is not a one-time quick fix solution. Sometimes, again, we have this light bulb moment in a session or an experience that really makes us feel something and have awareness. But like you said, it just brings a new toolkit or tool into our toolbox.
Yeah.
It just brings this new awareness because, again, back to trauma being a loss of power, it to regain that power, we have to relearn our tool set so that we can reteach our body a new way of managing that experience and
Yeah.
reteaching ourselves that experience is safe. And so if we aren't recognizing okay, basically it's just really common to be frustrated with feeling like, why am I not better?
Why do I not have the
Why is it
results?
not gone? Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And so noticing that, oh, now my toolkit tells me that when I experience this thing, this is how I react to it. That is better. That's a step in the direction of healing.
I'm so glad you brought that point up. It's so like we could have a whole episode about just that. Like, yes, I'm like always saying like it's a practice, because it is. Like, we have to remind ourselves. It's like brushing your teeth, eating, drinking water. We have our toolkit, and like I said, maybe every day we don't do the same tool, but every day we're aware and we do a tool when we need it. And I think that's like such a memo that we could just give out to everybody. Like, you know, it's not one and done. Like, you're not going to go get one massage and feel like your body is going to keep trying to go back to what it was. You're going to keep trying to go back to the old habit. You're going to keep trying to go back to being out of alignment if you only go to the chiropractor one time. So I'm so glad you said this, because we absolutely have this attitude that we're broken. I need a quick fix. That's what everybody else has. I see it. Where's my quick fix so I can post my square photo of it? And then we get real depressed and mad and feel like something's wrong with us when that's not the case. So, yeah, I think it's really going to end up for folks, if you follow that path, realizing that you are just beginning to live life differently. And yeah, everything will be different. Like, you're going to make different choices. You're going to do different things. You're going to practice different things. And you're going to remind yourself that it's okay that today your body also is in pain. And what can I do today to support my body?
And to that point, in the Western science world, we call that proprioceptive awareness. Your body has spatial awareness to it. It's something that we have studied, that any PT, any doctor will be like, yeah, your proprioception. It's just a commonly known thing. But for some reason, it only applies to our physical body, as if that's separate from our emotional body. But yeah, the thing that I always tell my clients that I work with is, so I'm somebody who reaches forward all day. And so my posture is not always straight up. And I tend to end up in this posture here. And so if I want to alleviate this posture, I not only have to release my muscles, I have to retrain my body where I want it to go. I have to retrain my system. And sometimes I use the right tools for that, and sometimes I use the wrong tools for that. But when it comes to my physical body, I'm super patient with myself, where I'm like, yeah, that wasn't super helpful. I'll try something else. When it comes to my emotional body, if I am feeling activated about something and I pick up the wrong tool, I am so hard on myself.
Yes.
And it's just not fair to my experience. And then I have that awareness in the moment where I'm like, that was the wrong tool. Let's try again next time. And it's all okay. It's all okay.
I can relate
Okay,
to that.
that's my rant on
That
that.
was
Thank you for
good.
coming to my TED Talk.
Mic drop. Bye. Done. I love that. And I guess I'll say, I feel like we're kind of wrapping it up, even though I definitely would love to talk to you again and dive in deeper on some
Yeah,
of these subtopics.
definitely. Let's do
Yeah.
mini-series. I love it. Let's do it.
Yes. Mini series. I love that idea. Let's do it.
We'll
So
calculate the time change into it when we plan for it
next time
next.
we'll calculate the time difference. Oh my God.
My brain was
What
gone.
time zone are you in? Oh, I love it. So
Oh
I
goodness.
was just so happy that you were here. Oh, before I wrap this up, I forgot to add this at the beginning. When I was introducing our lovely guest, Anise, there was just a few fun facts about her that I wanted to
Oh.
share.
You don't have to add those in. It's all good.
I almost died laughing when you're like, I consulted my husband about any fun facts, and you're just all around special. I don't know if that was a compliment. That is too funny. You are special. Anise is so talented. She does fire spinning. She's a performer. She can still do a backflip. She can't raise one eyebrow, though. I can't either. Or I would have done it right
Really?
then. No,
Do it.
I
Let's see
can't.
your best attempt.
I don't even know how to make my face try.
I just look sad. I look so sad.
What do you
There we
do?
go.
How do you even do it? Who cares? I was happy to read that you also, I was like, oh my gosh. But it has been a pleasure.
We're never alone in this world.
We have so many things in common, my friend, and that's what we realized, I think. Anyways, it's been a pleasure getting to know you on the massage table, and it was such a pleasure having you here today. I look forward to creating this mini series that you're talking about. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I would love to talk more. I feel like there's so many things.
All the things.
Yeah, all the things. And with that, I'll just say, go ahead and check out the show notes and the blog so that you can connect with Anise if you want to, if you're in the area and you'd like to work with her, or just check out her amazing, fire photos and stuff. She's pretty cool to follow on Instagram. Anyways, Anise, thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.
We'll talk to you soon.
I can't find the hang up button. Hold on.
That's okay. Can I actually add one little itty bitty thing at the end too?
Yeah.
Okay, bye. It's like when you walk the same direction after the restaurant, you're like, bye. Yeah. Oh, I'm like, okay.
Literally, where's the hang up button? I'm so embarrassed, but good. What did you want to?
Okay. I was going to say, if you are looking for body work in your area and you don't know where to look and you're looking for guidance on keywords to Google search, please reach out because I love that stuff and I will happily try to find you somebody in your area that is within what you're needing.
Oh my God, that is so special. I'm definitely going to reach out to you as soon as you offered that earlier. I was like, oh yeah, I'm sending her a text.
Yep.
Thank you.
As soon as you said that, I was like, I got somebody.
Yeah, no, that makes me feel so good because I know that like you can look with your professional eye and give me,
I am not all knowing. Again, it is an intuitive process, but I can at least give you some keywords if you're looking for more of a like injury focus or more of
I thought you were all knowing. I thought you came out of the lamp over there. Come on, Jeannie. All right, take two.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Goodbye for now.